Mitchell.
Yeah, just the tips. Round 21 brought to you by Tough Man Refresh. In we go.
Refresh.
2 NRL weekends. The NRLW kicks off this evening with the Knights and the Roosters. The Knights, the defending
Are there new teams
premiers.
in the NRLW this year?
Yeah, let's have a look at who they are, because it is an increased season. They've added a couple of extra weeks. The regular season runs for, 7 now?
So I think it's 10 teams and they all play each other once. Is that right? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, it would be, which would put my math off a little bit. But yes, hang on. Let's have a look as I scroll down. The Telstra Women's Premiership. Knights, Roosters, who have been there before. We got the Sharks.
Are we tipping this?
No,
I
I'm
don't
just
know much
running
about
through,
it, if I'm being honest.
Just saying that it's happening.
Yeah,
We'll get
it's good to have them back.
I want to stay up to date with it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to watching that tonight.
Sharks and, we got your Chooks in there.
Yep.
Sharks and the Cowboys, the Broncos and the Eels, Dragons, Titans, West Tigers, and Canberra. So
who have the Bronx got this year, as in personnel-wise?
there's a winger, Bree Spreadborough, who they've been talking a lot about. She's making her NRLW debut on Saturday, and our 5'8" as well, Skylar Adams. So partnering up alongside the veteran in Ali Brigginshaw. But they're the big hopes of both of those.
Has Scotty Prince still got them?
Yep. He's the coach again. So got a couple of games at Suncorp actually this year before they go back to totally workwear at Cooperoo.
There's one this weekend. I'm taking my kids to the Doggies game because it's family friendly, 3 p.m. And I think we're going to try and get there early for the NRLW.
Yep, 12:45 kickoff at the Bronx. And
and have they coordinated it so that the women's grand final will be on the same day as the men's?
Yep.
Do they still play the Host Plus Cup against the winner of the Queensland Cup against the winner of the New South Wales Cup?
Yep. Now that used to be.
I love that concept, but I just don't know that they've got it right.
It hasn't quite. I don't think it's quite worked out.
Yes, that it's like if they win the Host Plus Cup, the Queensland Cup, they all go out and get on it, and you know what I mean. It's a week of celebration. It's like the game still hasn't got to that position yet. It's similar a lot to the grand final and going to the World Cup. With the World Club Challenge, rather. Like it's still not the pinnacle. I don't know what they do about that. Yeah,
because I guess you're right. Both teams winning their respective comps would, because that's the whole season. Yeah, would be just getting on the piss, having a good time, and then they've got to back it up a week later and play in a game that probably doesn't mean too much.
Yeah.
The other thing I don't like about it as well is like all the NRL players who might not have played throughout the year that are a part of that squad get brought in just for that game. Do you know what I mean? Because if they're not playing like grand final, they all get drafted in. So you've almost got.
They?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think you see like 5 or 6 random players that might have played a bit of. I think Angus Crichton, for example, if the Roosters reserve grade team made the grand final, would be eligible to play in their grand final because he played enough games in reserves.
Yeah, right.
Really?
Yeah.
Player of the series in Origin, but could still be playing in the New South Wales Cup team. Yeah.
Could you ever see a day where, like, theoretically, I know we're getting way off topic here, but theoretically, if you win that New South Wales Queensland Cup grand final, you are the best, strongest club team outside of the NRL in Australia, in the strongest continent of rugby league in the world.
Yeah.
Could you see, given that we have an uneven amount of teams in the NRL, that the winner of that grand final the following year gets to compete in the NRL preseason championship?
That's a great idea. The only thing I'd say to that is if it's a team like, I don't know, Bulldogs or Penrith, who are pretty good in that, you got 2 Penrith teams playing. I don't hate it, though.
You know what? But but they've done that before in cricket over the years, where you've seen Australia A play Australia B.
Yeah.
And you could stage it so that the Canterbury, if that did happen, because I was thinking more from a Queensland point of view, going, how great would it be to see the North Devils?
Well, that would work.
Play against, get to play in a competition, and they might get beaten, but everything's a stepping stone, and it would be so interesting to gauge exactly where that competition is up against the NRL teams, even if it was just in a pre-season format. I think it would definitely bring an element of interest.
But you could do that. You could almost do that just for the Host Plus Cup winners. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it's not like down in New South Wales, like the Broncos don't have a team in the Host Plus. They've got feeder teams. But I think you could do that. Like the winner of the Queensland comp gets drafted in and does the pre-season challenge or whatever it is. Because I think the issue with the other option is a lot of, say, we'll use Penrith as an example. A lot of the New South Wales Cup Penrith players play in the preseason, and the Stars don't.
They do.
You get Norths or Wynnum or whoever it might be. I think that's a cool idea.
Well, Or when you get, I mean, in the, I would say A-League, but it's not the A-League, but like football in Australia, and when you do hear of an A-League side going up
The FA
against
Cup.
like a third-rate team from regional Victoria, and they're great stories when they've gotten into the semi-finals or whatever, and it's like everyone's paying attention to it.
Yeah.
So
I remember
it's a great idea.
Both you guys are probably too young, rather, to remember the National Panasonic Cup. But it used to, or the Amco Cup previously to that, but it used to be a midweek competition they'd run in Sydney. And one year, Brisbane, they picked a Brisbane National Panasonic, which was the best, effectively, like it was a Queensland State of Origin team. Wally was captain. 83, 84, I think it was. And Brisbane went down and won the National Panasonic Cup.
Right.
Wednesday night football against in the Sydney competition.
Yeah.
We won it.
And there was one late 90s as well, because I just remember growing up and knowing that Dad, as a Broncos player, did not win a premiership. But there was this giant picture in the bar of him in Powers Bronco jersey next to...
Yeah, they won it. They won it one year as well. Bronco, but that was as the Broncos.
Yeah, as the Broncos.
But Wally won it as Brisbane.
Yeah. Which is cool. I just remember seeing the trophy, and I'm like, he looks so happy, and he's holding this giant trophy with fans in the background, and he's wearing Broncos colours. But I never thought and it took me years to read. 1989, I think, Panasonic Cup or something. So that would have been before we had a team in the New South Wales Rugby League. That would have been massive.
I've got one more suggestion that you could potentially do to get sort of Queensland Cup teams into that preseason challenge. But at the moment, they have like an NRL-wide preseason sort of challenge. Imagine doing a Queensland and New South Wales one. So you've got Broncos, Gold Coast Dolphins, and then a stack of other sort of Host Plus teams. And then you've got your NRL clubs down in Sydney, and they play their own little maybe games of 3, same sort of deal, ladder, points based on line breaks and all that sort of stuff. Then the winner of the Queensland comp takes on the winner of the New South Wales comp to determine the winner. And that way you might have a North Devils, because Broncos likely wouldn't play their NRL team.
That's what happens is a lot of the NRL teams, they're playing each other anyway. They are. Like every year you see a Broncos take on a Wynnum or take on a, Gold Coast might play Burl or whoever, but a Queensland Cup team just as a hit out to sort of get the machine rolling for the season. You could do it in a more formal manner that will culminate in something that I reckon could bring genuine interest.
I'd watch that.
Yeah,
I
know I'd watch it too.
And I'm not massive. Like I love soccer, I like football. Not massively into the Australian competitions. I always watch the FA Cup games though. When you've got like I can't remember the names of these. Blacktown taking on Sydney FC or Forest Green taking on Melbourne Victory or whoever it is, because you're watching semi-professionals take on a professional club, and you want the underdog to win, even if you don't know anything about them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Peter Volandis. Someone send this to Peter Volandis, please. Alicia.
Get it sorted. Round 21 of the men's comp kicks off tomorrow night. 2 matches. The first one over in NZ. The Warriors home to the Tigers. Absolute raging favourites. The Warriors, obviously, they're at home and they're taking on the poor old Tigers. So I don't think we're going to surprise anyone here. Everyone tipping the Warriors for that game, I imagine. It's got 96% of the vote on our tipping app. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I think so as well. Oh, you know what? I wouldn't... Yes.
Actually, not as favoured as the next game. 97% of the vote so far going the way of the Melbourne Storm over the home side, Parramatta Eels. So we're coming in as $6.05 against
Storm
Melbourne.
For me.
Yeah, very much. They played I wish I would have paid a little bit more. I was out for the first half of that game against the Roosters last week, but all I've heard, I'm not bringing it up because you're a Roosters man, Buzz, but they said that was the best Melbourne Storm performance of the entire season. So, I would have liked to have paid more.
They came up against a pretty poor Roosters side.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. Very disappointed. I actually text my old man, who's a Roosters fan as well, after 3 minutes, because I went in feeling pretty confident. I tipped the Roosters last week, and I texted him and I said, "No, we're going to lose this. Like our effort just was not there."
Yeah, right.
And we did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll go Storm.
Me too.
That one over the old.
I can't believe the
Eels.
betting in that.
It's unbelievable.
No Mitchell Moses. It's like they just can't. They're just saying they can't win.
Well, they couldn't win that for 6 weeks that he was out earlier on.
Yeah. Saturday afternoon, our boys, the Bronx, $1.33 favourites against the Bulldogs, which for the last couple of weeks I've been really worried about this match just because of the way the Bulldogs have been going. I think they love that time slot. The Broncos don't really like daytime games the last couple of years, but it looks like Reno coming back last week and steering us to that fair win over the Knights has really turned it around.
Has Kevy spoken about, he's in, isn't he, Reynolds? Yeah. Has Kevy spoken about Selwyn going to the wing and not playing in the centres anymore, and Mariner playing in the centres now? Is that going to be the way it is moving forward?
I haven't heard anything about it this week. So
do you reckon that it's aimed at sort of Selwyn? Because I think he's been quite good in the centres this year. I was surprised when they moved him off the wing, put him in the centres, but he's definitely done a job.
But to move him back,
even at Origin level, he played centres in the Origin, didn't he?
Yep. I think that's what they brought him in for the first one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Do you think that it's aimed more at, like, Mariner can definitely fill the place in the centres, but Selwyn's offering more returning the footy, doing those big hit-ups, tackle 1 and 2 when we're coming out of our own end? A la what you see from the likes of Lomax and they're just getting saying, Selwyn, we need you with your hands on the ball early in the set when we're doing our kick returns.
I also wouldn't be surprised because I think it's been fairly well documented. He's had a couple of personal issues, and it might take him out of the spotlight just a little bit. It's like less defensive work on the wing.
Less defensive work, but sort of more. I think there's more pressure on the wing. Don't you?
And Mariners,
I don't know. I think centers are, because you can be defensively found out pretty quickly in the centers.
Defensively, you can, but you can also, like, no one's expecting you to go and run for 200 metres when you're playing in the centres. No one's expecting it. It's lovely when it happens, but when he's playing on the wing, and Selwyn's pretty good under the high ball, but he's going to come under high ball, especially from no more than they're playing against Burton. Everyone is on edge. Trust me, that back three of Brisbane, every one of them this week is in their head going, Reece is thinking, I hope he kicks it to the wingers. And the wingers are going, I hope he kicks it to Reece.
Hope it doesn't rain.
Nobody wants to be underneath one of those Matt Burton bombs.
Yeah, and Mariner's been great on the week just for tries. I know he scored 2 last week, and he was in the centres last week, Dan Mariner. But he was for the longest time the leading try scorer in the comp. Had a couple of quiet weeks, but he scored twice last week. He's now 16, second, and only 1 try behind the lead from Khan Pereira from the Titans. So we know he can get the job done at that end of the field.
But maybe decision.
Interesting. Like, you look at Mariner. Mariner's got 16 tries so far this year. Okay, now he's being switched to the centres. Selwyn's got 5 tries.
Yeah, wow.
Selwyn's got 5 tries this year. Reece has got 11. So Ezra Mam's got 9.
Oh, wow.
Ezra Mam is outscoring Selwyn nearly by double.
Oh, well, we'll see whether it sticks around. Yeah, I haven't heard Kevy talk about it much, but...
Well, I'll be headed to that game supporting the Broncos, so I'll be tipping the Bulldogs.
Yes, you... Well, thank you. Or did that curse lift?
I think the curse lifted that. Yeah. Well, I'm tipping Bronx here, and I hope they win.
Saturday afternoon, they love this time slot. The Cowboys are home to the Sharks.
Can't see them losing that one.
Yeah. I think I'll go the home side. I just tipped them last week. I was thinking Bulldogs. I think I said on this podcast I was going to tip Bulldogs, and then made a late change to go the Cowboys. And I think it was because you could look at the Origin and, in the wake, the losing team always gets, no one really stood up in a losing team, regardless of how tough the match might be. But a lot of Queensland stars were playing great games at club level following that Origin loss. And I was just looking at Cotter. I'm looking at who did and played pretty well for us in Origin. But I'm like, these guys are going to step up. Valentine as well.
Yep.
And did and had that. He cut through the line at the end to set up that try that ended up winning them the game. So I think I'm going to back them to get it done again at home.
I think so.
In Townsville. Same for you, Ash.
In that Courier Mail thing, I actually tipped the Sharks. But I hadn't looked at the teams or anything. I just thought Sharks. I like to have at least one upset around, and so I took this one as an upset. But now I'm looking at the team list. The fact that it's up in Townsville, the fact that the Cowboys got so much to play for, and so do the Sharks as well. I just think on paper. On paper, every way I slice and dice it, the Cowboys have got the Sharks covered.
They're in 8th, but they're one of 4 teams in the same amount of points between 6th and 9th, and the Broncos in 11th. But if they put a couple of wins there, like that that 8th position, that's under threat. I mean, I know the Sharks are in 3rd. There'd be no guarantee of finishing in any particular position. But also the Sharks, they're debuting a 19-year-old at fullback. Will Kennedy's out suspended. So talk about putting pressure on people at the back.
Liam Eisen.
Apparently in great form in New South Wales Cup, which is obviously why he gets the step up. But 19 years old, up in Townsville. I think they're going to go easy on him. And then your boys on Saturday night, Buzz, the Roosters, home to Manly. This should be a great game.
This will be a great game. 7:30 kickoff, is it? Yep.
Yeah, I'm backing us to bounce back. I've tipped the Roosters.
And I want to see what, Manly, they've just, you expect them to do one thing and then they come out and they'll have 2-3 pretty ordinary matches. And last week they were, 8-0 down after 10 minutes of the Gold Coast and they come out and win, was it 38-8 in the end?
Yeah. They looked good last week, I think, and Manly have beaten us earlier this season. So, but I feel like we'll hopefully come back.
I think I'm tipping your boys too. Sunday afternoon, the Dragons and the Panthers.
Penrith.
Yeah, I'm taking Penrith.
Cobwebs dusted off for Cleary. Came out all right last week.
So Cleary's back, but what about Edwards? What's his problem?
Quad. Oh no. Is it an ankle or something? He's got an injury. He did something, maybe a knee. He did some lower leg injury in Origin, but not major. Only a few weeks out.
Is that why he missed that first game? Remember, he was in the team and then he...
different injury. So he did a quad. Yeah, he did a quad for the first game, a different injury for the second.
Sunday, late afternoon, the Dolphins and the Titans.
I haven't seen the teams for this. I can't believe the Dolphins are favourites to this extent. 96% of people in the tipping thing has tipped them. I think they will win, though.
It's $1.58 to $2.40.
So I got on Sportsbet. It's $1.47 to $2.68.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought the Titans would be closer than that. But
I don't know. The Dolphins,
they're inconsistent, though, aren't they?
Oh, but they're...
Where are they? They're one of those teams in around the 8.
They're 7th. Yep. And played pretty. Had a great game
they
against
had Penrith last week, didn't they?
Yep.
Like they took it to Penrith.
They led at half time. They were leading through the second. Yep.
They just do some things that. Remember when they dished it up? They absolutely dished it up to the Sharks. Like ran riot.
Yeah.
The hammer is unbelievable. What Wayne Bennett has done out there this year in the second year of the competition. Where are they sitting on the ladder?
7th.
They're 7th on the ladder.
Yeah.
Now, be honest. When they started in the competition, a lot of people had them pegged to be the wooden spooners.
There were plenty of people. I had people sending me their betting slips. They put money down that they wouldn't win a game last season.
You wouldn't win a match.
And they were the joint comp leaders after 4 weeks. They were one of only 2 undefeated teams.
And now here we are. We're up to what is it? Round what?
21.
Round 21. The Dolphins are in the 8.
Yep.
They're a real chance of playing finals football. They took it to Penrith last week. And I know Penrith was missing their Origin stars, but everyone raves, and quite rightly so, about what great systems they've got. Next man in, doesn't really matter. And they had Nathan Cleary back.
Yeah.
Well, it went to extra time.
Yep.
And it took something absolutely brilliant from Cleary to take away that 1 point for the Dolphins that they would have got out of the draw.
Yeah, I think back at Titans. I think the Titans love playing at Suncorp. They always step up when they come up against the Bronx. But I think Dolphins might get them. Yeah.
Like, come on. No one had ever heard. This bloke has run around the Host Plus Cup. Now he's a bona fide NRL player.
There was chat about him at Origin this year.
He'll definitely play
absolutely.
Origin, won't he? Like, he's just one of those guys you go, you know that you could whack a Queensland jersey on him and he's just not going to let you down.
Yeah.
He played hooker last week, didn't he? Is he playing hooker again this week?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. That's versatile.
And Trey Fuller is another one. He's been running around in our competition.
Is he 27?
He's 27 years of age.
Just re-signed, did he?
Yeah. He's in the top 30 now for the next couple of years. Now he hasn't just become good.
No.
He's been running around in this competition that we've got here in Queensland for the last 7 or 8 years.
There's some pretty good backup fullbacks around at the moment, don't you reckon?
Yeah.
Like Fire Logo for Melbourne.
Yeah.
Trey Fuller for Dolphins. Who else is there? There's another one.
Gold Coast has got lots of
they got
change
some.
in there.
Same with Parramatta. They got that young kid Talagi.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm taking the Dolphins in that one.
And the final game, the Raiders home to the Rabbitohs.
Give me the Raiders.
Raiders are favourites there as well.
Is that a Sunday afternoon in Canberra?
Sunday night.
Yuck.
6:15.
Yuck.
Oh, that's a terrible. Sunday night, 6:15 at Canberra.
Yuck.
I've tipped the Rabbits in that. But there's no reasoning behind that.
No.
They're just sort of, I like the Rabbits, and they're without Latrell, but I just think they're such a better team with Walker and Whiten.
Yeah.
In the halves, and they've got some of their big names back. Although, what's happened to what's his head?
Who?
Cam Murray.
Is he not playing?
Still post from the Origin. It was a 2-game suspension.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Would someone please
Yes,
think
of
of the
course,
punters?
for coming off the bench, idiot. You don't expect him to do that, eh? Like
He looks like a private school
like
kid.
Cam Murray's,
He was.
strikes me as a private. Was he a private
Yeah,
school
yeah.
kid? I had no. But I kind of just figured that he was.
Yeah.
You kind of think, well, he'd be too smart for that. But it just goes to show he doesn't give a shit. Like there was a fight on, and he was just.
I was listening to Gus Gould talk about it
what did he
this
say?
morning, and then he was talking to Danica Mason, who was on sideline. She said it was right, like they were a metre away from it. And they said it ended up in the Queensland bench. So Cam Murray, obviously, he's on the bench. He looks up, he's like, okay, well, there's a tiny scuffle, but they've landed in the middle of a Queensland bench. There's automatically going to be 4 extra Queenslanders that are going to want to have a word about this. I'm just going to go over there just in case I'm needed. But because he was off, and they had to sin bin somebody, and so his old mate, his teammate gets sin binned, but then he's the one that cops the suspension.
Did he do anything in the fight?
No, no one really did it. I think it was just a matter of like getting up and getting involved.
Imagine if Danica Mason had jumped in.
Or Gus. That's the thing I don't like about this. Like all this outrage, like Corey Parker saying it's disgraceful. Even Gordon Tallis, like nothing happened. It was. I thought both sin bins were a bit soft, personally.
Yeah.
I think if you called a penalty or whatever and just let the game go, but whatever.
Yeah. No, I would have been happy with just with a penalty. Like, yeah, that was his other point. Was like, is anyone
Gordy against it?
Yeah, Gordy said it sets a terrible. Gordy said if I did that in a club game like park footy, I'd get a year suspension.
Oh yeah.
But I think, and I would agree with that if like Cam Murray ran off the bench onto the field to get involved in a fight.
Yeah.
But he kind of ran from one bench to another.
Yeah.
You know.
Like when it's there in the Queensland bench, like they're going to get involved one way or another because it was right there and they're not copying the same. So like the fact that he had to walk over isn't that
like, I mean,
much
I
different.
even thought Nanai getting sin bin for what he did was pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, spare me.
You ever remember, you guys wouldn't remember this either, but in 85 at Lang Park, Australia, New Zealand, Kevin Tamati and Greg Dowling. You ever seen that fight?
No.
It was
Google it.
They both, Google it. It's be around. They both got sent off, and they're walking and they'd just been in a fight. Same as like Glenn Stewart and Adam Blair from years ago.
Oh, the Battle of Brookie.
Yeah, they both got sent off, but Dowling and Tamati were in the tunnel. They just got to the tunnel, but in those days the crowd was right around as well. So they were off the field, and they were making their way from the field to the dressing sheds, but they had to sort of walk through the crowd to do it. And they got into it, and they're sitting there like full on fist fighting. I remember the commentator saying, "This is a police job now. This has got nothing to this with the referee at this point. It's a police job." But I'm pretty sure that one of the kids that was right there, because there's kids as they're going at 2 prop forwards, was Kevy Walters.
Oh, really?
I should ask him one day. I reckon that. I think I read that somewhere that he was one of those kids who just happened to be right there, and these guys are just full on. Kevin Tamati, Greg Dowling. That's got to be on YouTube.
That's your homework. Happy tipping.